What's up, y'all? DT2 Comics Chat here. Wanted to come on and deal with some breaking news. Now, right off the bat, I have to say this is Rumorville. I've seen it in a couple of tweets and I've seen it on a couple of sites, but this is Rumorville. I don't know if this is 100% confirmed yet or not. But basically, they're talking about AquaBaby dying in Aquaman 2. Now, this movie is so messed up. This movie is, the first one did $1 billion, and that surprised me as well. I don't know what this movie is going to do because it's got so many things going against it. It's got so many strikes. And I don't know the last time I've seen a film with so many strikes against it going in. So let's talk about that. Right off the bat, it's the official end of the Snyderverse because Jason Momoa, who should have always been Lobo, was cast as Aquaman in Snyderverse. Now, whatever you feel about Snyder's movies and whatever you feel about Snyderverse, the one thing that is indisputable is that they're controversial and divisive, okay? From my personal point of view, that's not what you want to do with a fan base. That's what's been happening for the last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, is that people get a hold of these incredible IPs, that stands for intellectual property, and they get a hold of these things that have united people and fans, and sometimes both, the geek community and normies alike, and they do everything they can to divide them, which is so counterintuitive to good business practices. I know as artists, and I know as creatives, because I am an artist, I am a creative, I know that we always want to do something new, we want to do something different, we like to shock people, we like to surprise people, we like to take the story in ways you might not have anticipated. That's all good. But you don't want to destroy the franchise and divide the fan base in the process. And that's why there's always been an uneasy but necessary alliance between art and commerce. And I know that many times neither side likes the other. The people that are just counting the beans and worrying about the money and worrying about the numbers want something that's going to sell. And they don't care how much creativity they have to beat out of the thing. They'll beat it until it's bland and generic and a paint by numbers because they think that's going to sell. And the artistic side will take everything and turn it on its head and get rid of everything that made it great in the first place just to leave their mark on it. So I understand both sides are extreme, and that's why there's always such a tug of war. If you've ever wondered why there's such a tug of war, that's the reason why, okay? Because artistic people normally mainly care about shocking the audience and making their mark and doing something different. And money people, commerce people care about creating content that will sell, okay? And so that's why you notice it's so rare you get a franchise or anything that's a good combination of both. That is really, really well done, really artistic, takes chances, goes a lot of strange places, and does well commercially. That does happen, but that's more the exception than the rule. So the first strike Aquaman 2 has against it is that it's the last version of the Snyderverse. It's the last piece of Snyderverse intellectual property in DCU that we're going to see. That's strike one, because it's divisive. That's strike one. Strike two is that James Gunn told everybody that he was going to reboot the DC universe before these movies dropped. So what movies dropped this year? Well, we had Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. We had the Flash movie. We had Justice League War World, but that's animation. And we have Blue Beetle, and now we have this. And Aquaman is dropping in December. Now, if I was James Gunn, I would have waited. I would have waited to announce my reboot so that these last movies had a chance of getting as wide of an audience as possible. But when you tell people before these movies drop that we're going to reboot the universe and we're going to start over with something new, once this last slate of movies hits, then a lot of people will lose their motivation to go see them because you've already told them they're not really going to matter that much going forward. And then also, we've been able to see that some people from the Snyderverse were retained and some people were let go. And the people that we wanted to be retained were the ones that were let go. And the people that we don't care if we ever see again on the big screen were the ones that were retained. More on that in a minute, but that doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of like strike 2 and strike 2.5, where Gunn announced that he was going to reboot, which means these last movies are now part of a universe in a story world that's not going to exist after December. You know, combine that with strike 1, they were already divisive, but strike 2.5, that there's things going on with the actors that are affecting things going on in their real life that are affecting whether or not we want to see them on the screen. Strike 3 is today's rumorville news that AquaBaby might die in this film. So once again, don't know if it's true or not. Some people are saying that they did some test screenings and people got up and walked out. Now, for those of you that don't know, AquaBaby actually did die in the comics. Arthur Curry Jr., the son of Aquaman, Arthur Curry, and Mera, actually does die in the comics. He's killed by black mana. He can create a life from water, but he's actually put in a bubble and put outside of water because he can't breathe outside of the water, and he's suffocated. And Aquaman goes after black mana, and he almost kills him, but he can't bring himself to kill him. And then Aquaman and Mera end up having another child, Marina, their daughter, and then Aquaman buries Arthur Curry Jr. at the reef where he was found. Mercy Reef, that's right. And so AquaBaby gets resurrected later as a part of the Black Lantern Corps, and Aquaman uses him. Mera became a Red Lantern, but he fails. AquaBaby gets burned by Mera, and so Arthur Curry Jr. just gets the raw end of the stick from start to finish. It's just everything about his short life is tragic. And so I made the same argument for Gwen Stacy. Just because it happens in the comics doesn't mean that people want to see that storyline, particularly on screen. And man, you should have seen, man, somebody came on my timeline and shouted me down about Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's not why there wasn't a sequel. And they went on and on and on and on and all this kind of stuff about that's not why there wasn't a third Garfield movie, blah, 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 blah. But I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say then, and I don't care what they say now. When people leave the theater with a downer, you know who understands that? For the most part, is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise understands that people come to the movies because they want to be entertained. So I say that for the most part because there was some stuff that happened in Mission Impossible that I don't really like, but that's I got another video on that. So, but for the most part, people come to the movie theater to be entertained, and they don't want to leave feeling just as down. They don't want to leave feeling depressed. They don't want to leave feeling heavy because movies are about escapism. So it's one thing to read a storyline in 2 dimensions. It's one thing to read it in a comic, okay? Because it can have great impact, as we know. The Killing Joke did, The Dark Knight Returns did, Superman Red Sun did, Injustice Gods Among Us. You know, just so many things. But when you see it in 2 dimensions in a comic, that's one thing. When you see it in 3 dimensions, when you see it in live action, when I saw Gwen Stacy die in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, because when the web caught her, it broke her back and snapped her neck. I have never watched that again because I don't want to see that again. I got no need in my life to see Gwen die again because I'm a Gwen fan. Okay, so if they actually kill Arthur Curry Jr. in this film, Lord have mercy, the impact of that is going to reverberate, and it's not going to be in a positive way because do you really want to see a baby suffocate? Even if they do it off screen, do you really want to know that's what happened? And does a scene like that in a movie like this have repeat playability? Because I have never watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2 all the way through from the first time. Now, it came on TV a couple of weeks ago, and I watched it because I love the interaction between Andrew and Emma, Gwen and Peter. But right when we get to the end, then I turn it off and watch something else. Because I hate that stupid Green Goblin and I hate watching Gwen die. So is Killing AquaBaby actually going to have a repeat playability? Is that going to make people want to watch it over and over again? Because, you know, to make your movie really commercially successful, you want it to be an experience that people enjoy on the repeat. Not, I'm going to watch this one time and I'm going to never watch it again. Most of the things that I have watched in the last 5 years, I've only watched them one time. The stuff that I watch over and over again is older stuff. Like I watched the first Avengers over and over and over again because I love that film, okay? Age of Ultron has grown on me. I watch that over again, but my top is Winter Soldier. I watch Winter Soldier over and over again because I love the film. I and many others. Is Killing Aquaman's son gonna give this film repeat playability? Are you gonna want to watch that over and over and over again? Okay, that's strike 3. Here comes strike 4. You already know what it is. I don't even have to say it, but I gotta say it. In case those of you haven't been following what's been going on with Amber Heard, you know, she was in 2 lawsuits of domestic abuse against Johnny Depp, and I think she won the one in the UK, but she lost the one here. And a whole bunch of stuff came out about Amber Heard, the most gross one being that she crapped his bed. That's right. She crapped, allegedly, she crapped in the bed that her and Johnny Depp shared together. And see, you can't get past, because a nickname for her, a hashtag on Twitter, is Amber Turd. See, she has marked herself in history now. That's the thing. That's a point of no return decision. That's one of those things where if you do something like that, no one's ever going to get past that. No one's ever going to let you forget it. Every interview you sit down to have, they're going to bring that up. You're going to trend on Twitter with Amber Turd for the rest of your life and for all of history, really. She has carved out her place in history. It does not matter what she does from this point on. That's the thing. Some things you do, you can recover from and keep it moving. But some things you do, they like, I think it was on the set of Terminator, Christian Bale lost his temper and started yelling at a crew member, and that video went viral, that audio went viral, and, you know, he apologized and whatever, maybe he's having a bad day or whatever, but it happened. He took responsibility, he got past it, and you probably wasn't even thinking about it until I brought it up. But this stuff with Amber Heard, just look up the videos. There are a ton of videos on YouTube if you're not familiar with the story. You can see it from every angle. But the point I'm trying to make is that she has marked herself in the place of the minds of the public, and she has marked herself in history. And there's nothing she can do for the rest of her life that are going to make people get past this. It's a point of no return decision. And when you do stuff like that, same thing kind of happened with Ezra Miller with some of the things that he allegedly did. But I talked to a lot of people in public and private, read articles, did interviews, and I found out that a lot of people said they refused to see The Flash because they were not going to support him. They were not going to give any money towards a project with him in it. So the things that he did or allegedly did marked him in the minds of people so much so until they said they were going to boycott the movie for that reason. They refused to see it because Ezra Miller was in it. Well, Amber Heard is bringing that same energy. She's bringing that same vibe to Aquaman 2. There are some people that are absolutely going to refuse to see this film just because she's in it, even if they've minimized her role. She is in the trailer, by the way. Look at it. She's in it very briefly, but she's in a water bubble. Now, they might flip the script and kill her. If they kill Mira in the movie, people are actually going to cheer at that. They're actually going to like that, which is kind of twisted, but it's true. If they end up killing Mira and not Arthur Jr., that would be a twist of all twists. That's the one thing that might save this film. I'm sad that I have to say that. I'm sad that it's even true, but it is true. Okay, it's unfortunate, but it's true. So when you look at the strikes that this film has, that it's the last of a divisive story world, Snyderverse, that James Gunn announced he's going to reboot anyway. Strike two and strike 2.5 was retaining some members of the Snyderverse, the ones we didn't want, Miller and Hurd, and jettisoning Henry Cavill, and then we don't know what's going on with Gal Gadot, because first it was, yes, you're coming back, and then it's, no, you're not. And they did the same thing with Henry Cavill, and sure, they made Henry Cavill announce that he was back, and they're like, oops, sorry, psych, our bad, no, you're not. You can't jerk your fans and your audience around like that. So that's strike 2.5. Strike 3 is, of course, that, no, that's strike 4 with Amber Heard, but strike 3, that we're getting this last little spate here before everything's going with the reboot, and none of the movies that I've seen have had repeat playability. None of the stuff this year has repeat playability. And then, like I said, all this stuff with Amber Heard. So I just don't see how this film is going to do well. I just don't see how, if they kill AquaBaby in it, how that's going to make people want to see it again. Or, you know, I just can't see it. I just can't see it. Now, I could be wrong, but, you know, I don't even want to see it to review it, to be honest with you. I just have no desire to see this film on any level. So leave me some comments on my Twitter stream. Leave me some comments on my YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Definitely subscribe to my channel. Comments help the algorithm. So, you know, I love to talk to you, love to hear from you. But, you know, I love to do that anyway, because I've been doing that on Twitter for years now. So, you know, I like to discuss this stuff. But I'm saying I just don't see how, with all these strikes, and particularly with the idea, you know, and again, if we have to see him die, if we have to see the lifeguard of that little baby on the screen, that is just not a good storytelling move, even though it did happen in the comics. I don't think it's an addition to this film. So again, take that with a grain of salt. We don't know if that's rumor. We don't know if that's real. But I definitely want to hear what you think. I want to hear whether or not you think this movie has a chance at all to do well, has a chance at all to perform well. Because those of you that are, you know, supportive of this film, or those of you that do think it's going to do well, I want to hear about that. I want to know what your arguments are, what your reasoning, what your mindset, what do you think about this film has enough redeeming qualities to make it do well at the box office? Because like I said, it's got those strikes, Snyderverse, James Gunn's announcement, dead AquaBaby, and Amber Heard. I don't know, but that's just me. So let me hear what you have to say. This is going to be in my breaking news playlist on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. And like I said, I look forward to your comments. Look forward to talking about it. That's it. DT2 Comics Chat out.